Hello, my name is Scott for SB Gaming. We're back here in Betrayer. We're exploring the Forbidden Wilds, so let's get back to it. Tracker's Longbow. 45 damage, long, very fast. Nah. And yeah, if I want, there is an achievement for getting all the unique weapons, so yeah, there's a reason I'm doing this. Partially for completionist's sake, and partially because, well... Oh! All right. Let's go to that one there first. Oh there. I'm almost thinking I might want to have the commander's musket. Actually, what am I using right now? I should be using this. And possibly switching to that. Chest is empty. Alright, let's go to the village. Oh dear. Alright. So what we can do is we can... First, I am going to... dug up an impressive looking Indian headdress. Unlock the Indian village destination. All right. Well, let's head this way. 92 coins. Alright. What I'd like to do then, probably go this way. And the captain's pistol. Damage 140, very short, moderate. Compared to 150, very short, slow. Actually, yeah. Let's go with the captain's pistol. I thought you might need this. All page scraps found. Achievement unlocked. Documenter. It appears that someone was burnt here. All treasure chests found. Achievement unlocked. Collector. Now I'm going to go in this direction. Found a scrap of bright red cloth stuck to a tree by an Indian arrow. And there's the Wraith. Remains of a man who seems to have been killed with an Indian arrow. Dug up a blood-stained strip of cloth. It appears to have come from a woman's gown. The clapper is missing. It must be replaced before the bell will ring. All clues found. Oh, nice. And so where are we right now? Okay. So now we have no more items in here. We just have the Wraith to talk to. And what is this right here? Okay. I must report to the Lord Governor. Who are you? I am Clement Wright. Achievement Seeker, Achievement Pathfinder. James Markley sent you after his daughter, Allison. I remember seeing her flee into the woods. I wanted to go after her, but I was wounded. Is this broken arrow the one that injured you? I suppose it is. I remember my leg suddenly giving way. I didn't feel the pain till I was lying on the ground staring at the bloody shaft that had torn through my knee. I had to break it off to pull it out. I found this powder flask near the remains of a man who died nearby. I remember Simon Hoult pouring powder into the barrel of his musket, reloading as fast as he could. Then he went stiff and fell sideways, an arrow in his throat. I found the scrap of cloth stuck to an arrow near here. Allison was fleeing into the woods. An arrow caught her cloak and pinned her to a tree. She yanked herself free and kept running. I wanted to go after her, but I was wounded. I must tell the Lord Governor. Perhaps if I rest here a while, I can make it back to Fort Hope. I found a woman burning to the west. I know nothing of it. Unlocked ambush site destination. All destinations unlocked. I must report to the Lord Governor. Alright, about that. Let's go back to the Indian village. I want to find out if there's anything else here. Oh, there's a water barrel. Guess we can't talk to these shadows. So, is that it? Anyway, I like to check the clues. Bloody arrow. This was the arrow that pierced Clement right through the knee. He had to break the shaft in half to pull it free. Burning stake. A crude stake where a woman was burned into the forbidden wilds. Fire still rages, though it emits no heat. Cloth scrap. It came from the cloak of Allison Markley. That is, I think, the Maiden in red. Headdress. Indian village. A small Indian village in the Forbidden Wilds where something terrible seems to have happened. Alright. Stone arrowhead. Burned victim. People. Simon Hoult. Killed in the Forbidden Wilds. Clement Wright. And the graves. And it doesn't say all graves found. Huh. Should anyone find this letter? Should anyone find this letter before I return to Fort St. George, please tell my family that I, Avery Tanner, yet live. I am the last of the three of us who set out after Benedict Harper refused to let us join his expedition. We thought to take a more direct route, that we might arrive first, but my companions took ill. One died 2 days ago, and the other only this morning. I shall continue on alone. Alright, I don't know when I found that. Allison Markley. He remembers now. Okay. Simon Hoult. The Burning Maiden, Forest, Forbidden Wilds. So, do we have to... I doubt it. Of course, it's not marked on the map anymore. Alright, I suspect I have to go back to the deep forest. Where the Maiden in Red is probably waiting for me. Or not. Oh, bother. Alright, about this. So... if we go to investigations... Fort Hope. Let's go back to Fort Hope. And there she is. Something has happened. You reek of smoke, of scorched hair and charred flesh. I found a woman burning in a blighted forest far to the west. I remember she was weeping, smoke from empty eyes as the flames consumed her, her flesh blackening and cracking from the heat. Clement Wright said an arrow pinned your cloak to a tree as you fled into the woods. I remember him calling Simon's name after we crept through the forbidden wilds. I turned and saw 3 soldiers coming towards us. I knew my father had sent them to bring us back. I hissed at them to be silent lest they reveal us to the Indians. But then Simon asked them why they were carrying Indian weapons, and I realized they didn't come to bring us back. It was Clement's arrow that pinned my cloak to that tree. It was my arrow that wounded him. The others were all dead, so I left him there and went to find my sister. Is this Tabitha's arrowhead pendant? Yes, she wore it always, though she was careful to keep it hidden from our father, knowing he wouldn't approve. I found it near the burning woman. She wasn't burning when I found her. What happened? I remember staggering through the woods, faint from fear and grief, knowing she was near, for her sorrow called me. I remember I stumbled and fell. I think I cried out, for the ground was strewn with dead birds. I looked around me and beheld the rotting carcasses of rabbits and deer and other beasts of the wood. And then I saw an Indian child and her mother clinging to each other in death. Beyond them were more corpses, their flesh blackened, their eyes clouded, their faces twisted in fear. I forced myself to walk on despite my horror, picking my way among the dead, choking on the stench of corruption. At last I saw a pillar ahead of me. Someone was bound to it. A woman, head lolled forward, her naked body stained with the blood that had spilled across her. I knew at once it was Tabitha. I stood before her, reeling from the ache of her despair and my own. I raised her face and saw that her throat had been cut open. I looked around at all the helpless creatures, beasts and men. Drawn by the ache of her suffering, I then drowned by it. I could feel the darkness spreading out from her, feeding on the hope it swallowed up. I knew it would never stop, that it would only grow more ravenous. I wept for a long time. Then I began to gather branches and pile them at the base of the pillar. I said a prayer and lit a fire, feeding the clothing that had been stripped from her into the flames. As the flames rose up and consumed her, my prayers became pleas. As her flesh blackened and cracked from the heat and the dark smoke streamed from her eyes, I begged her to find peace. I begged her to let go of her torment before it consumed us all. And then I felt her anguish become anger. The ache of betrayal became the shrieking of scorn and vengeance. The trees withered, and all that her fury touched turned to cinders. The dead things and the living were burned away. Those who had hurt her, those who had abandoned her, those who had loved her, all except me. I have a gift for you. What is it? This arrowhead that your sister wore as a pendant. Why are you giving this to me? To remind you of Tabitha's happiness. That is most thoughtful of you. This bloody arrow that wounded Clement Wraith. Why are you giving me this foul thing? To remind you of vanquishing a treacherous foe. Thinking of him reminds me only of betrayal, and is also surprisingly unpleasant to look upon. This scrap of cloth from your cloak. Why are you giving it to me? In case you wanted to patch the tear. I already have, but it was thoughtful of you. This Indian headdress. Why are you giving it to me? I think you would look in case there's a chance to return it to its owner or his family. It is rather bulky to carry around. I shall leave it here, and they can come and claim it if they so desire. Journal updated. Alright, about that. Bloody arrow, the burning stake. Still don't know about the engraved skull. Stone arrowhead. Victim burned. Victim was Tabitha Markley, daughter of James and Philippa, sister of Alice. Alice? Allison? That's all the clues. People. Allison Markley burned her sister's remains, trying to bring peace to her. Tabitha Markley. Someone claims to have seen her in a clearing ringed by withering trees. Clement Wright. Allison Markley was the one who wounded him. Investigations. Allison Markley, Fort Hope. It was the arrow that caught her cloak. The Burning Maiden, Forest Wilds. So is there things to discover? I'm curious. Osmond Ford. Oh, James Markley. Clement Wright attacked Allison and Simon Holt. I knew at once they had gone into the Forbidden Wilds, even though I forbade it. I sent those men to make sure they didn't return, for I feared what they might bring back with them. What did you fear they would bring back? The doom of our colony. Allison found Tabitha in the Forbidden Wilds. When Tabitha vanished, I rode into the woods to search for her. I found her on her way to their village. It did not take long to get the truth from her. She was tied naked to a post. I stripped away her clothing so that the swell of her belly might be clearly observed. A child sewed by a savage she gave herself to willingly. You cut her throat? Yes, so that the shame she brought upon me might be ended. Well, I left her there so that the tribe would know we would sooner kill our women than let them be touched by savages, even our own daughters. Wow. Alright, about that. You're not going to have anything else to say? Nope. Alright. James Markley killed Tabitha. Investigations. Burning Maiden. Your father sent Clement Wright to kill you and Simon. But why? Why would my own father do such a thing? He claims he feared you would bring back the doom of the colony. Then perhaps he was right. Perhaps I did. What if this is all my fault? Your father killed Tabitha. I feared you would say that. I think I already knew. I felt her dying. So much pain. So much fear. But she was so desperate to live. She was pregnant. Oh, God. But how could that be? She never told me. I suppose that's why she was crying. She didn't think I could understand. And so she ran away, knowing that she couldn't stay here. That must be why her father was so angry. Why he couldn't just bring her home. He must have blamed Mother. He must have told himself that it was her fault that he had to kill Tabitha. What about Tabitha? I believe her torment is feeding off the fear and anguish of those who remain here. Freeing the race you have met may help to quell her wrath. Is there some way you can convince them to let go of that which keeps them here? You must try. If you choose to go to her without releasing them, I expect you will find it a harder task to reason with her. Investigation complete. Really? She is too angry to approach. You must convince those wraiths to depart. Interesting. Huh. Investigations. Tabitha Markley, Fort Hope. Allison Markley, and Not Yet Done. Simon Holt, Burning Maiden. So I'm guessing that I have to find the Burning Maiden, or the Burning Woman here. But before I do that, I need to go back to all of the worlds, all the areas, and talk to the Wraiths. Those two Wraiths. Interesting. Well, our task is not yet done. Thought this could be the end, but it seems like it's only the beginning. Okay, that's cheesy. Anyway, at this point, I'm going to take a break here. This episode was a bit longer than I thought it would be, and I will probably be splitting up into 2 episodes. For this game, I like to do about 25 to 30 minutes per per episode. So it'll probably be split up into 2. Anyway, at this point, I'd like to say thank you for joining me for this episode of Betrayer, where we completed most of the areas. We just need to talk to each of the Wraiths. We finally got to the Forbidden Wilds. We discovered the true story that was happening here. Very intriguing, and turning out to be a better game than I expected. Anyway, at this point, I'd like to say thank you for joining me for this episode of Betrayer. Thank you for watching. My name is Scott for SB Gaming. And as always, have a good day.